And we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Welcome to Advocates for Change, a show that shines a spotlight on individuals and movements making a real impact, not just in our community, but sometimes in the world. I'm Carolyn Orzak Shoenberger, your host for this empowering journey. The mission of the show is to inspire change, to share stories that resonate with the heart, stories of courage, resilience, and innovation, which is particularly important for today's show. Advocates for Change is not just a TV show. It's a platform for voices that need to be heard, for ideas that need to be explored, and for actions that demand our attention. I am the executive director of the Shoenberger Public Interest Law Foundation. Our work is to assist our clients and other nonprofits achieve their missions. Prior to creating my foundation, I served as the Commissioner of Consumer Services for the City of Chicago for 15 years, as an Assistant Cook County State's Attorney, as a faculty member in the Business Department at Harold Washington College, and as the Supervising Attorney of the Immigration Program at the Chicago Legal Clinic. As we dive into today's episode, we encourage you to join the conversation. Use the hashtag Advocates for Change on social media. Share your thoughts, your ideas, and stories of change happening in your community. Together, we can amplify these voices and make a difference. So I am thrilled today to have award-winning Claudia Hommel, who is the Executive Director of Working in Concert, and also Working in Concert. She is a great cabaret performer, and most recently won La Médaille d'Or des Valeurs Francophones, the Gold Medal of Honor for Francophone Values. So let's start by asking, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Merci.
So je vous en prie. And let's ask you first about Working in Concert, then I'm going to ask more about the Cabaret Connexion.
Oh, okay. So working in concert is, when you were speaking about stories that have heart and resilience, our specialty as a Performing Arts Alliance is to bring stories up close and personal that have relevance to the things that we are going through and that we share as communities and as world citizens. So we came together. My partner, Christine Steyer, had Bellissima Opera and Song, a whole series of operas, new commissioned works as well, taking that into the classroom. And I had all my cabaret projects going into the classroom and having performances and creating the Chicago Paris Cabaret Connexion, Song Shop Live, and Chicago Cabaret Week. And we shared a structure, a not-for-profit. And working in concert is really what we do. We love to involve people, not just performers, but clearly we're facilitating performers to do what they can do.
You engage people.
We love engaging people.
So you were talking earlier about some of your performances dealing with World War II and World War I. And
So in my case, for years, I've been taking a program with the help of the American Association of Teachers of French. I created a program that I could take to middle schools and high schools called Souvenirs of Paris 1950. And it's very interesting to see how, by personalizing this experience of what it would be like perhaps to hide a Jew in your attic, or to resist, or perhaps to decide to ignore and try to live through the events. Everyone has to make certain choices, and my character made certain choices, and I see the students really leaning in, and the history books that are pretty dry get some life, some flesh on the bones, as it were. And that we get to do it in French, that we get to do it with students who are studying French or Spanish, or maybe not any of those languages quite yet, but, wanting to know more. So I love when a student can say, "You touched me," because that's what we're trying to do.
I think performers need to do that.
And we need the feedback. We need to be touched back.
Well, and not only that, but just as a teacher, a former professor, I wanted students to engage. I didn't want to just sit there and repeat what I said.
Exactly.
Lawyers need to engage, whether it's the court, a jury, your opposing counsel. We need that. But getting back to working in concert, tell me a little bit about Chicago Paris Cabaret Connexion.
So that's one of our 7 initiatives. And it began actually with the help of an organization you and I are both members of, the Paris Committee of Chicago Sister Cities International. We were starting to look at how to exchange with French singers skills, experiences. I'd been taking fans to France for about 10 or 12 years and looking for other singers in Paris. Who's doing cabaret in Paris? Difficult to find. But I did find a jazz singer, and we started to do a workshop for singers who want to learn more about jazz. And so that was our first session in Paris. And I remember going to Brett August, the co-chair of Paris Committee for Sister Cities, and saying, "Can you endorse this?" And he said, "Absolutely." So we've had the support, the moral support and backing of the sister city relationship. But the jazz workshop evolved into the Cabaret Connexion, and in 2017 we held a 3-day conference, and we had a very contentious roundtable discussion with some of the cabaret performers who were saying that cabaret is dead.
No.
Oh, no, pas possible. And some people in the audience standing up and saying, "No, no, no, c'est vivant, ça vit." Anyway, so we had to prove to folks, including the Ministry of Culture in France, that cabaret is not passé, it's not retro. It is a way of performing that's not going to die out as long as we need to be up close and personal. And that's what cabaret is all about, is that being in a small room and reaching out to you. And so,
And there have been some wonderful cabaret performers, and part of the Paris Cabaret Connexion is Michel Barbier.
for example,
Let's
yeah, so
tell us a little bit about Michel Barbier and who her...
the coterie around her. She heard about the first sessions, and we had Kat Victoria doing an homage to Josephine Baker and other singers who'd cut their teeth in Paris, Lena Horne, Eartha Kitt, others. Michelle came, and we didn't know who she was, but she said, "I was Josephine Baker's personal private secretary." When she was in her early 20s, Michelle was with Josephine toward the end of Josephine's career. And it was an amazing encounter. And of course, Michelle then ran with us and said, "Oh, you have to do more. We have to take you to the chateau. We have to talk about Josephine." So the next year, when Michel Barbier came to Chicago, because the exchange goes in both directions, she brought Patrick Pernet, she brought Clovis the clown, the musicopath. And we've loved her ever since. She wasn't able to join us for the visit to Josephine Baker's chateau this last year, but she put us in touch with Akio Bouillon, one of the sons that Josephine Baker raised. She adopted 12 kids from all over the world, and Akio spent the entire day with us. And Michelle she's a very special person. So we're very happy that she's coming. She's coming again
I was
at the
going
end
to
of
just
October.
ask you, but I met her and other members of the Cabaret Connexion this past winter in Paris, and was just, I don't know, blown away.
Yeah.
Is what, and looking forward to going back and hearing more cabaret. So, since you brought it up, what is going on with Cabaret Connexion?
So we will have 8 days of conference and concerts here in Chicago from October 28th through November 4th, which means that Halloween is right in the middle. That night, on Thursday, October 31st, will be the first of the 5 concerts that we will be offering. And of course, it has to deal with Halloween. So what are you afraid of is the theme. And the Kurt Weill Circus, the circus themes of Kurt Weill, the German composer, who wrote in French, English, who composed songs to French, English, and German texts. his work will be honored by Anne Fromm, who's a French-German performer and teacher. And we'll have each evening different themes. So, Ooh La La, Isabelle Georges will have a jazz combo at the Rhapsody Theater.
Which is where?
That's in Rogers Park.
Okay.
That's a lovely, lovely supper club-like space. It's used primarily for magic shows, but they're opening it up for us to have Isabelle Georges and an opening act, of course. The Dankhaus, which is the German Cultural Center, is going to host the Halloween
It's
night.
not spelled D-O-G.
It's D-A-N-K-H.
Dankhaus.
H-A-U-S.
Dankhaus.
So Dankhaus will host actually the whole conference. The classrooms are there. It's a big building with lots of classrooms. And, well, I'm hoping we get to go to the Alliance Française. We've done that twice now with the Chicago wing of the Cabaret Connexion. Always sold out, so get your tickets early. So that's very likely to be Saturday. We'll have a showcase concert for the folks who come to the workshops, the master classes. Cabaret performers from around the world, literally, will be coming to share our skills, our ideas about how to make our storytelling stronger, how to expand the themes that we address. Black Voices in Cabaret is going to be included in this whole process because we have a whole history here in Chicago of Black performers leading the way for the world of cabaret 100 years ago. So we'll have a showcase concert at DePaul at the School of Music. And then we're looking with the Old Town Chicago folks from the Triangle Association and the Merchant and Residence Association and the other groups that are based in Old Town to have our finale there.
So I have to add that Old Town and Montmartre, the neighborhood of Montmartre, decided last August that they would have a relationship.
They'd get twinnings.
They would be twinnings. Jumelage, I like that
Yes.
better in French. And on Bastille Day, all over Old Town, there are going to be all kinds of performances and movies and from
Art
the
exhibits
library,
and everything.
art exhibits, Burton Place, Old Town Triangle, and possibly a certain person may be performing.
I will be performing there, yes. With the accordionist Sam Heisen, we're going to offer Bastille Day songs at 2 o'clock at Burton Park and 4 o'clock at the Triangle, outdoors then indoors. And there are
That's
some songs that
exciting.
people can sing along. Absolutely, c'est si bon, si bon, si bon. So we'll have some opportunities for folks to sing songs that they recognize. We can sing some lyrics in English occasionally, so that's okay as well.
So that's great. We have to get the final schedule and we're going to blast it
Blast
out
it
there.
out to everybody.
But as far as the Cabaret Connexion coming,
We have a dozen performers coming from France. I just purchased the airplane tickets today for Isabelle and Frédéric. Polis from London is getting his tickets next. We're waiting for Tassia to come in from Porto Alegre, Brazil.
they've had a rough time there.
They've had a rough time.
Yeah.
She couldn't get to the consulate to get her visa because it was flooded.
Yeah, I was
for
Porto
weeks.
Alegre years ago, and I
Beautiful
was so
city,
sad.
I
It's a
hear.
beautiful city.
Yeah.
So sad.
And she is, Tassia is the premier singer of French songs.
In Brazil?
In Brazil. So it's a very interesting way of just bringing us all together through the songs, through
Oh, that's-
the material.
And then the following year, you would go back to Paris.
In 2025, and we invite our fans to come with us. We love having our fans come with us. After all, we have to have our claques in the audience, right?
That's true.
People ready to applaud and sing along and whatever. Cabaret is very much about those relationships, so we're really looking forward.
And this is something I think that because of the connection with people is so important. It's not like just, standing or dancing with things flying around you.
Right.
It's very personal. And I think we need that now.
I think we need it now more than ever. There's one thing to go to a big stadium show, to see Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks, for example, and but when you get to see this person up close, and know that they're sharing stories that resonate to your stories. It's very universal, and it really goes back to humanity using stories to bind ourselves together. So, yeah.
I wish there would be more of that, because in Paris it has really, I don't want to say taken off because it was there, but it's really exploded in Paris, all over, not just in Montmartre, but in other areas of the city. And here, Old Town, other areas,
So Chicago Cabaret Week, which we celebrated in the middle of May, we had 16 venues involved, and there's some others. So they're not all cabaret venues, but they were small enough or intimate enough. So we could go from the Promontory in Hyde Park to out to Arlington Heights, Hainani, or to places in Old Town, not in Old Town specific, Boys Town, for example. And it can be, cabaret can be a lot of different things. It can be burlesque, comedy, it can be songs from vaudeville or the American Songbook, or it can be modern, contemporary songs. It can be anything that you can communicate person to person. So the big production numbers, maybe not so much, but all of that intimate stuff.
well, there was a great production that the Paris Sister Cities put on to celebrate you
And the twinning.
and
Yeah,
the twinning
yeah.
between Montmartre and Old Town.
Yeah.
And also the great, success that Cabaret Connexion had when you went to Paris this past year.
So we sort of had a reunion, as it were. Again, the Paris committee was very helpful in making that happen. That was lovely. And we did it at Steppenwolf, which is sort of part of Old Town, maybe. We'll call it part of Old Town.
I didn't realize this, but apparently Old Town goes to Halsted Street.
According to some, yes.
The maps. In any event, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
We'll take it.
So, and it was really lovely because we had, 12, 13, 14 performers, and the accordion and the keyboard, and people singing all kinds of material, which is exactly the point, whether it's blues or gospel or a songbook or French songs, right? So we did all of it. It was really fun. And we invite people to come and do more of it. So.
No, I think it's great. I think it's fabulous. We've been in restaurants abroad where they'll have someone
Strolling.
Yes.
Right.
And it adds such it's just fabulous. It adds something so special to the moment.
I cut my teeth at the old Sofitel by O'Hare 8 hours every weekend, strolling table to table in their restaurant with my accordionist. And they don't do that anymore, which is really too bad. And it's true that in that sense, cabaret has taken a hit everywhere, because land rents are high. It's harder for the restaurants to afford it. But it was such a great place to meet people and to share, to go heart to heart.
So does Cabaret Week happen every year?
Every year, so mid-May.
Mid-May, okay. So we know that.
The fourth annual will be in mid-May. It always encompasses Mother's Day. The first weekend is, the Sunday is Mother's Day, which is sort of special because, bring your mom to a cabaret.
Oh, no, that's
totally
perfect.
It works really well.
Bring mom to a cabaret.
Cabaret, yeah.
Sounds like a great tagline.
Well, yeah, we had, what was the tagline? Oh, get carried away by cabaret. There you go. So
I like that a lot.
yeah.
So between what is going to happen on Bastille Day with you performing at various venues, and then Cabaret Connexion coming in October and Cabaret Week, you have a
Full schedule.
full schedule.
Not to mention we have Black Voices in Cabaret is going to be holding a show in September in Bronzeville. And Spoon River House Festival is going to take place in September in the house where Edgar Lee Masters wrote Spoon River Anthology, which is going to be a totally fabulous, unique, once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be in that house with the ghosts of all of his characters.
I was one of his characters in high school for Spoon River.
Of a certain generation, people know what this poetry is all about. Speaking from the graveyard at Spoon River, each character speaking about their life. So we'll have a classical version, a vaudeville musical theater evening, and a folk and spoken word version. So those 3 nights are going to happen twice, 2 weekends.
And where actually is Spoon River?
Spoon River is in central Illinois,
Okay.
and the town that he was writing a lot about is Lewistown. And his book was banned in that town because he was naming names. And there were people who were not appreciative of the scandals being aired. So the library banned it. But anyway, I think since then, it was written in 1915, so I think people have gotten over it since then.
I hope so.
Yeah, but it's also true that young poets and English majors are not learning about Spoon River Anthology.
No, not anymore.
So we're trying to revive that. We're getting the help of the Chicago Literary Hall of Fame because Edgar Lee Masters was one of their early inductees. So that event in mid-September is going to be really lovely.
So how can we tell people, since you have the Cabaret Week and you have the cabaret performances on Bastille Day in Old Town and Cabaret Connexion coming in October and other events in September, where can people find out?
It's pretty simple. Workinginconcert.org. That's it. And all the upcoming events are on the front page. There's an event calendar with all of the details. And as tickets become available, that's where you can go to reserve your place. You'll need to. So workinginconcert.org leads you to all of our initiatives. So we have websites for each, but Working in Concert is a landing place where you can find cabaretconnexion.org. That's connexion spelled with an X instead of CT. The French way, or some Brits as well. Yeah. CONNEXION, Connexion. Or blackvoicesandcabaret.org.
That's happening in September.
That's going to be happening in September as well. And you can find out about the Song Shop concerts or the workshops through songshoplive.com. We just had a beautiful garden concert just a few days ago. The weather was perfect, thank you, Chicago. And it rained afterwards, so we were good. And Song Shop invites advanced amateurs and professionals, semi-professionals, to come and work on their material, their repertoire. I'm very proud of the people that we work with. Irene Michaels is doing a lot of shows. She comes and works on her material at Song Shop. The Swingin' Sisters, Barbara Smith and Carolyn Broquet, and our friend Tirza Joy, who've all been involved in the Cabaret Connexion. Swingin' Sisters, they come to the workshops. And then we have some new voices. You know, we're discovering some
Well, I think that's critical. Mm-hmm. That a way to bring people in and to go out there. Yeah. So to go to cabaretconnexion.org.
Or blackvoicesandcabaret.com or workinginconcert.org leads you to all of it, including Chicago Cabaret Week when the new schedule gets posted. That website gets handled by Choose Chicago, the Tourism Bureau. They are a big supporter of Cabaret Week because, of course, we want to attract tourists to come to Chicago as the capital of cabaret in the U.S. And
absolutely.
So it's all that. It's all good.
Well, that's great. It's great to hear, and it's exciting. Mm-hmm. And I'm always happy to partager la culture française.
So we get to share.
We get to share the French culture. And although we can say that they basically took the cabaret culture from us with Josephine Baker and...
The back and forthness has been going on for over 100 years. So Louis Armstrong and Josephine Baker, Adelaide Hall, Bricktop, many of them had their stops first in Chicago. And then
went to Paris. So we can claim them.
We get to claim them as well. Yeah. But Louis Armstrong for sure. Bronzeville, you know, that State Street, that great street, I just want to say. That State Street was not downtown. I always thought that was like where Macy's was or something. No. Marshall Fields, beg pardon. Yeah. But the State Street was Bronzeville, and the stroll was from 31st to 45th Street. It was a fabulous history of cabaret rooms
It's
in the 20s.
fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about cabaret. And we want you to be involved in cabaret. Remember to go workinginconcert.org. I want to thank you all for watching. For each show, I have the privilege and honor of bringing you incredible stories of people doing extraordinary things, from grassroots cabaret, to global initiatives. Our guests are the change makers who challenge the status quo and drive progress. They are the advocates for change. Thank you so much.
Merci beaucoup.
Je t'en prie.